Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Sorry for the bit of delay of the battle report, guys. A lot's been going on, but I will go over that at the end of the video about the update on the channel. But here we are, the final conclusion of the final chapter for the Salamanders and the Astra Militarum who have gone rogue. After the last episode, the Salamanders have tracked the spark that flew out of the E-Command vehicle that they were trying to pry open, that the Astra Militarum was so desperately trying to attempt them not to. But they have tracked the beam of light all the way over to this ruined city, where they find a Raven Guard librarian, which the Salamanders have found quite odd that there are no Raven Guard anywhere near this sector. So it is up for the Salamanders to find out what is going on. But before we do that, let's go ahead and go over the armies. All right, so first up we have the traitorous Astra Militarum. They are being led by Acadian Castellan, who has the frontline combatant warlord trait, where basically any sixes to hit score 2 additional hits, and they also add 1 to the rune rolls. He also has Claws of the Desert Tiger, or basically it's just a beefed up power sword. He's being accompanied by 3 identical infantry squads, each with a Vox caster and plasma gun. He is then accompanied with a heavy weapons squad. Each of them have the auto cannons. The transports are going to be 2 chimeras, both with auto cannons and heavy bolters. And then we have a Valkyrie with Hellstrike with a las cannon and missile launcher and a heavy bolter. And their regimental trait is just born again soldiers. So that's the list for the Astra Militarum. It's 645 points. Now let's go ahead and move on to the Salamanders. Alrighty then, and now we have the Salamanders.
I have my Captain in Terminator armor. He has the Forge Master, which adds 2 toughness. I also enacted the Exemplar of the Promethean Creed to give him another warlord trait, and I gave him Miraculous Constitution. And I equipped him with the Salamander's Mantle. Then I have my Librarian. He is equipped with a Grav Pistol and a normal Force Sword. I gave him Fire Shield and Flaming Blast. And then I have my Intercessor Squad equipped with the normal bolters, bolt rifles, and bolt pistols. Then I have my Tactical Squad, 3 regular Marines with bolt guns, Sergeant with a Kami Flamer bolt gun, and then special weapons with a flamer. Then I have the Invictor Tactical Warsuit. He's equipped with the Incendium cannon. Then I have the Scout Squad. They are equipped with normal bolt guns and bolt pistols. Then I have the Venerable Dreadnought equipped with heavy flamer and twin las cannons. Then I have the Centurion Devastator Squad. They're equipped with 2 las cannons and a Hurricane bolter.
All right, and what is the total point cost of that?
905.
Now, many of you may be wondering, why is the point difference so unfair? Well, for narrative reasons that I cannot explain until later in the video, this will be balanced out. So now let's go ahead and go to the mission. All right, so here we are with the mission. Now, like I said, the Salamanders have tracked the beam of light over to here, and they have found a Raven Guard librarian out in the middle of nowhere, just randomly protruding the blue spark that had bursted out of the vehicle. And obviously this has intrigued them, and they wish to speak to them. However, the guard are fully aware of this and are now moving to intercept to prevent them to speaking with the librarian. The way it's going to work is the guard are going to try and prevent the Salamanders from preventing the Psyker from casting his spells. He's going to be casting basically almost, I would say, a smite, even though he's not going to target anyone and he cannot be targeted himself. He just has to cast a power for 3 turns. If he's successful, then his ritual, quote unquote, will be fulfilled. And then we can move on to the second conclusion of this campaign. If the guard succeed in this, they will then be able to, quote unquote, have necessary reinforcements to help defeat the Salamanders. The Salamanders, their objective is to stop or communicate with the Raven Guard Librarian. If they succeed in preventing him from casting his ritual, then it is a Salamander victory. And if all forces are wiped, or enemy forces are wiped off the map, then it is also a Salamander victory. If all Salamander forces are defeated, then it is an Astra Militarum victory. So now let's go ahead and move on to deployment. All right, so here we are after deployment. For the Astra Militarum, the Valkyrie has 1 squad of guardsmen. This Chimera has the heavy weapons team. Got an infantry squad right here. And then this Chimera has an infantry squad and the Cadian Castellan. For the Salamanders, they put their Invictus Tactical War suit right behind the Librarian, and they also put the scouts over to the side of them. We've also got the Centurions slowly making their way over here in the corner, the Librarian being centered by the Intercessors, and the Captain being surrounded by his Tactical Marines, and then the Dreadnought bringing up the rear. So we already did the roll-off, and it's going to be the Astra Militarum who go first. So let's go ahead and go to their turn 1. All right, turn 1 for the Guard. Pretty slow and steady. Chimeras moved forward at their max 10. Guardsmen moved forward in here into the bunker. Valkyrie pivoted a little bit and flew over, just passing by the Invictus Tactical War suit. The Valkyrie did some pretty heavy damage on it. The last cannon struck it and dealt a total of full 6 damage. Then the heavy bolters failed to deal any damage. However, the assault pods were able to deal 2 damage. This Chimera was able to chip it down by 4 wounds, and then this Chimera over here was able to chip it down with 2 wounds, leaving the Invictus Tactical War suit bracketed down to having 1 wound left. Also, the Psyker, or the Raven Guard Librarian, was able to get his psychic test off. He got an 11. And since the Librarian over here was not within area denial range, he passed it just fine. So now let's go ahead and go to the Salamanders, turn 1. All right, so Salamander's turn, just like the Guard's first turn, kind of slow. Everything kind of just crawled forward. The Tactical Marines and the Captain advanced. The Psyker casted Flame Shield on the Centurions, and then casted Smite on the Valkyrie, dealing 1 mortal wound. The Centurions put all their blasts into here, dealing a total of 1 wound with their last cannon. And the Hurricane Bolters took off 2 wounds with it. The Intercessors fired their shots into them, and the Valkyrie was able to make the saves. The Tactical War suit invoked the Flamecraft and the Fires of Battle, thus dealing a substantial amount of wounds to the Valkyrie. And after all the firepower from the Salamanders, the Valkyrie is alive on 1 wound, much like the Warsuit. So yeah, it was a pretty good turn for them. It was kind of like a blow for blow. So now we're going to go to the Guard, turn 2. Okay, turn 2 for the Guard. Nothing really all that much happened. Psyker got off his ritual without any interruptions. The Valkyrie, despite the fact of only being one wound, was actually able to one-shot the warsuit on its last cannon, and the warsuit did not explode. So thankfully, the Valkyrie will be able to at least take some of the shots coming in from the Salamanders during their turn too. Autocannon and heavy bolter fired into the intercessors over here. Autocannon failed to wound one of them, even with the reroll, and the heavy bolter got one wound through, but the Salamander saved it. This Chimera, pretty much same thing. The autocannon failed to wound any of the scouts, but one of the heavy bolters did manage to take one of them out. So that is it for turn 2 of the guard. It is now up for the Salamanders to their turn 2. Alrighty then, so here we are for the Salamanders turn 2. Once again, everything kind of just pushed forward. The Librarian casted Fire Shield onto the Centurions again. He also casted Flaming Blast right in the center of right here. It failed to kill any of the Guardsmen, but it did do one mortal wound to the Valkyrie, thus bringing it to the end. It did not explode, and since these guys were already out of its harm's way, they were fine. However, the Centurions poured all their shots into the Guardsmen, minus the last cannons. And they fired everything, and they killed 5 of the Hurricane Bolters. And then the Intercessors fired their shots into them, killing off another Guardsman. Centurions fired their last cannons in here, and while one failed, while only one actually penetrated and gave it one mortal wound, the Venerable Dreadnought fired its last cannons into the Chimera, dealing a total of 4 mortal wounds. No mortal wounds, 4 damage. Scouts fired their shots into this Chimera, dealing 1 damage. So now we go to the Astra Militarum for their turn 3. Alright, so turn 3 is going to be a little bit different here. I've already done the movement phase for all the Guardsmen. These heavy weapon teams have bursted out of the Chimera. These soldiers have moved forward. The commander and his squad of Guardsmen have bursted out of their Chimera and began to move forward. And the Psyker, he has now finished his ritual. It only took 3 turns, but has come to realize at the Salamanders that this is no Raven Guard Librarian. It is indeed, in fact, it is indeed a 1,000-Sun Sorcerer with him an entire squad of Rubric Marines. Yes, that is right. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the new army. The 1,000 Suns have entered the playing field. In this 1,000 Sun army, it is only 305 points. Rather small, but it makes up for the very large Salamanders army coming against them. This is just a standard sorcerer who will be leading the charge. I'm not going to go over psychic stuff as I am new to this and they will take forever. And the Rubric Marines, it's just a standard sorcerer. Their heavy weapon of choice is the Soul Reaper Cannon. The rest just have their standard bolt guns. Now let us go ahead and return back to the battle. And thus the element of surprise for the 1,000 Suns has allowed them to blast away the scouts of the Salamanders. Through the power of Doom Bolt and Smite, the Salamander scouts were no match. However, the aspiring sorcerer, though he may be aspiring, failed in summoning a spite against these tactical Marines. They fired all their shots into these Marines here, dealing no damage except for 1 shot of the Reaper Soul Cannon. The Chimera fired everything into these tactical Marines, killing off 2 of them. These squad members over here were given take aim and fired into the Centurions, dealing 2 wounds done by the plasma gun. And then the Chimera over here fired all his shots, failing to wound any of the Centurions. Truly a mesmerizing turn of events done in this campaign. Now it is up for the Salamanders to recover their senses and press forward in their turn 3. And the Salamanders have attacked in full swing, pretty much putting all their firepower into the rubrics, killing off 4 of them. However, they were able to remain strong. But not to react too kindly, some of these folks shot into the poor old guardsmen here, killing off 2 of them, and the Centurions fired their last cannons into the Chimera, thus destroying it. The Tactical Marines enacted the fires of battle and flamecraft, dealing mortal wounds, killing off 3 of them, and then firing their bolters, killing off the final one. So now let's go ahead and move on to Guard and Thousand Suns, turn 4. All right, so the Thousand Suns came back with a vengeance. They obliterated the remaining Marines with a super smite, dealing 6 mortal wounds, killing off the remainder, and then they did Doom Bolt, casting it onto the captain, who then in return shrugged off 2 of them, thus bringing him down to 4 wounds left. The Chimera over here fired all of his shots, wasn't able to deal any wounds to the Dreadnought. However, the autocannons fired all of their shots into him, dealing 2 wounds to him, bringing him down to 6. The Cadian Castellan gave these 2 squads take aim, giving them a +1 to hit, and they fired all of their shots into the Centurions, bringing it down to 1 Centurion remaining. And then the Thousand Suns put all their shots into the Intercessors, killing off 2 of them. And that is it for turn 4 for the Astra Militarum and Thousand Suns. Now let's go ahead and go to the Salamanders for their turn 4. Okay, so here we are at the end of the Salamander's turn 4. Centurion fired all of his shots into the group of guardsmen right here, bringing their count down to a total of 5. These guys took some pot shots over here, but missed and failed to wound. The captain and the Dreadnought fired their shots and enacted the Flame of Vulcan, the Flame Craft in the fires of battle. Their mortal wounds, dealing off the rest of the rubric Marines, with the exception of 2. However, the Dreadnought and the captain were able to make their charges in. However, they weren't able to get to the sorcerer, so the sorcerer heroically intervened. The Dreadnought bonked 2 of the remaining the Dusty Marines into more dust, while the Aspiring Sorcerer was able to wound the Dreadnought and take it down by 3 wounds. However, he mitigated the damage by 1. It is now down to 4 wounds left. The Sorcerer attacked the captain and failed to wound at all. So that is it for turn 4 for the Salamanders. Now let's go ahead into the final turn for their Guard for their turn 5. Alright, so the final turn for the Guardsmen. Some of you guys just moved along back, pushed forward. The Psychers fell back in order to cast their spells upon the 2 foes in front of them. They casted Smite and Doom Bolt. However, both were able to walk away. The captain is down to 4 wounds, and the Dreadnought was down to 2. These guardsmen over here, thanks to the help of their Cadian Castellan, fired all their shots into the Centurion, thus killing it. These guys put all their shots into it, and again, bringing down the Dreadnought a peg or 2, as well as the captain. The autocannons, they pretty much moved back. Since they couldn't really shoot or anything, I just had them move back for just narrative reasons, as if they're falling back to a strategic point. That is it for turn 5 for the Guard. Now it is over to turn 5 for the Salamanders. And as the final turn for the Salamanders, these Intercessors fired their shots into the 2-man squad, killing the Guardsmen with the plasma gun. They put all their shots into the Sorcerers. However, they were able to make it, but the Dreadnought came in and swooped down and fought against the aspiring sorcerer, and he was actually able to make his saves. While as the sorcerer was not so lucky, as the captain bonked him over the head, thus sending him back into the warp, but not before cursing his name, vowing that he would return to the Materium to one day wreak his revenge. So that is it, guys. That is the end of the match. While there are still units on each of the team, the Salamanders were able to defeat the Thousand Suns. Yes, there is still one lurking about here, but we all know he's not going to make it. He's not long for this world. He is not a true sorcerer. Instead, he is just a measly aspiring sorcerer. Nothing more than a cog in the big mind of Tzeentch. But we're going to declare that a Salamander's victory. These heretic guardsmen will then soon be put to the bolter and purged from all records. I hope you've enjoyed this little mini campaign. I know that some of you have actually liked the more narrative coming out of this. But before we dive too deep into that, let's go ahead and get into the after action report. So before we get into the after action report, due to the overwhelming success that this captain has achieved for his chapter, he has now earned himself a name for himself. Thus, he shall be given the honor of being no longer a no-name Terminator captain. He shall be now henceforth known as...
Pardon me, Sadarvar Hasdarget.
So,
I can't pronounce it, I'm sorry.
So let's go ahead and look over, point to it.
5-4.
So, Sadavar, and then Hasdarget. Yeah, so we're going to butcher that as best we can. But, maybe someone in the comments can tell us how to pronounce it. Or maybe we just might ask Google. But there you have it. There is your new name for this Terminator captain. Go ahead and if you made it this far, go ahead and leave his name down in the comments. So now let us get into the after action report. All right, so here we are with the after action report. So what are your thoughts on doing the little narrative campaign?
I liked it. It adds more flavor to the overall battle of the that we were doing against the because it's normally like the same old with guardsmen versus salamanders, but adding more flavor to it, making it seem more interesting, and it is definitely more interesting.
Yeah, it was nice to have a little bit of a story, and it seemed that some of you guys actually enjoyed the campaign as well. What were your thoughts on the Thousand Suns? Do you think it's...
They're scary. Like the fact that they had already -2 AP on their bolt guns. They all have a 5-up invulnerable save. Kind of saved them, like when the Dreadnought was bonking the sorcerer. So they're doing pretty well, taking off my guys one by one. And then my poor scouts got vaporized by the sorcerers.
Yeah. I hope you guys enjoy the fact that it's a Thousand Suns. I know that these guys are 3D printed and it's not the same color scheme. I'll do a video about it one day of why I did it the way I did. But let me know what you think about them, the color scheme and all that. I actually gave it a shot one day and I just really liked it. I thought about doing something completely different than just the standard gold and blue. But I thought they played really good. It was kind of nice to see something that wasn't Imperium, adds a little bit of flavor. And it was nice to kind of help bring them onto the channel. Sorry this battle port took so long. It's just been very busy with life and all that stuff. And I'm going to be going away for 2 weeks. But don't worry. I've got videos in the vault to where you guys will still have something to watch in the meantime. They won't be battle reports. They'll just be some topic videos for the hobby and all that. But that is it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little mini campaign. More will be coming soon when I get back from my 2-week work vacation. I'm going to try and get more of these guys out as quick as I can, but with the way life goes, it may be some time. But we'll get there slowly but surely. As always, guys, please sure to like and subscribe and comment. It really helps boost the channel. Like I said, we're trying to get to 1,000 subs at the end of the year, so it would really help go a long way. But that is it, guys. I will see you next time.